Boi. Come. Bashalan. In the peace. Atele. Putting crown on. Byler. Her husband. Boi Kailar. Come bride. This is a beautiful Hebrew wedding song, as if the angels in heaven are calling for the bride who has been waiting for 6,000 years to stand up bravely and put on the crown of glory for the coming King of Heaven.
大家好，欢迎来到以诺谈天节目。今天我们讲亚伯拉罕的故事第15部分。欺骗父子无果效，转身实话骗撒拉。原本是承载告妻，哪知妻死路途中。前面我们说了，上帝在创造天地之先就呼唤亚伯兰2次，伯兰，伯兰。伯兰出生见天象，宁录王要杀他，结果仆人的儿子代替了亚伯兰，神救了他。亚伯兰苦寻上帝，宁录建塔办天庭。亚伯兰披神像，宁录把亚伯兰与哥哥哈兰投入火炉，最终亚伯兰3日3夜毫发未损，哈兰死在火炉中。宁录再次要杀亚伯兰，最终他们全家逃离，神第一次呼召亚伯兰进迦南地。神第二次呼召亚伯兰进迦南地，遇见荒年，撒来险遭不测。罗德与亚伯兰分开，差点被掳去，亚伯兰带318家丁救罗德。神与亚伯兰立约，祝福四方，撒来等不及，下甲先得子。99岁亚伯兰割礼改名，准备迎接以撒的到来。在准备牛犊的过程中，发现了那埋葬亚当夏娃的洞。上帝灭所多玛地区多城，亚伯拉罕为一人罗的祷告。撒拉生孝学耻，赶走以使玛丽结1000年之仇。现以撒成就正果。
Hello everyone, welcome to Enoch Talk Show. Today we begin the story of Abraham, part 15. Satan deceived father and son ineffectively, so it turned around to target Sarah. Originally, after the incident was completed, Abram would tell his wife the truth, but he would never know that his wife was on the road to death. In the previous sections we talked before the creation of the heaven and the earth. God called Abram twice, Burim and Burim. Abram was born, and King Nimrod wanted to kill him, but his servant's son took Abram's place. God saved him. Abram searched so hard for the way of back to heaven. Nimrod built a tower to rebel against heaven. In anger, Abram burned idols of false gods and smashed the idols of Nimrod. Abram was thrown in the furnace for 3 days and 3 nights. But he walked out without damage even a single hair. Nimrod had a nightmare and wanted to kill Abram. And Abram entered the land of Canaan in his early 50s. God called Abram for the second time into the land of Canaan. In the famine years, beauty of Sarai almost landed her a disaster. Lot and Abram separated and were almost captured. Abram brought 318 servants to rescue Lot. The covenant made in wilderness will bless the universe. Sarai was anxious to get a son through Hagar. Circumcised at 99 years old, God made covenant with Abram and changed their names to prepare to give birth of a son. Abram sat under oak trees with circumcision pain to welcome travelers. Angels visited them and a calf run away to bring great blessing of knowing the cave of Machpelah. God destroyed the 5 cities of Sodom and saved Lot. Sarah laughed after giving birth and washed away her shame and drove out Ishmael to start a 1,000-year feud. offer Isaac to pass the biggest test.
76撒旦去见撒拉，以一个老年人的形象出现在他面前，面貌谦和。那时亚伯拉罕尚未在耶和华面前献上燔祭。77他对他说：你岂不知亚伯拉罕今日对你儿子所行的一切事吗？他把以撒带到坛那里，将他当作燔祭献在坛上。以撒在他父亲面前哭号，但他并未看他一眼，也没有向他发怜悯。78撒旦不断重复这些话，便离开他。撒拉听见撒旦所说的一切话，以为陀是与他儿子一同前去的人回来向他报信的。79撒拉因他儿子放声大哭，他伏在地上，捧起地上的灰撒在头上，说：我儿啊，以撒，我儿，情愿我今日替你死。他继续哭着说：我为你悲伤，我儿啊，我儿以撒，情愿我今日替你死。80他仍旧不停止哭泣，说：自从我抚养你长大，我为你愁烦，如今我的喜乐变为哀哭，我的心可想你，我向神呼求，直到我90岁怀了你。你今日为这刀和火儿预备，要成为燔祭。81我为你安慰自己，我儿，因这都是出于耶和华的话，你也行了你神的诫命。谁能不听从我们神的话，就是那万灵之神。82耶和华我们的神，迷是公义的，因迷所做的尽都良善正直。我也因迷的命令欢喜，我的眼泪直流，我的心却快乐。83撒拉将他的头靠在他一个使女的怀里，他变成如石头一般。84然后他起身，出到外面向众人打听，一直到希伯伦。他向路上所遇见的人打听，无人可以将他儿子身上发生的事告诉他。85他与他的使女仆人来到基列亚巴，就是希伯伦。他打听关于他儿子的事，他打发仆人前去寻找亚伯拉罕和以撒所去之地，自己留在原处。他们去闪河希伯家里找寻，不能找到他，他们寻遍全地，他也不在那里。86撒旦以一个老年人的样子来到撒拉面前，对他说：我对你说了谎，亚伯拉罕未曾杀他的儿子，他也没有死。他听见这话，为他的儿子极其欢喜，他的灵魂因喜乐离开，他便死了，归到他列祖那里。87亚伯拉罕献完祭，与他的儿子以撒一同返回到少年人那里，他们起身往别是巴去，回到家中。88亚伯拉罕寻找撒拉，却是寻不着，他向人打听他，他们对他说：他前往希伯伦找你，因有人告诉他你在那里。89亚伯拉罕和以撒前往希伯伦，发现他已死，便放声大哭。以撒伏在他母亲的面上痛哭流涕，说：我的母亲，我的母亲，你怎能撇下我？你往哪里去了呢？哦，你怎能撇下我呢？90亚伯拉罕和以撒号啕痛哭，跟从他们的人也一起为撒拉哀哭，他们为他大大的哀嚎。亚萨尔书第24章。以撒拉活到127岁就死了。亚伯拉罕从他的死人面前起来，去寻找坟地埋葬他的妻子撒拉。他去与赫人并那地的居民说：我在你们这里是外人，是寄居的，求你们在这里给我一块坟地，我好从我面前埋葬我的死人。3赫人对亚伯拉罕说：看哪，遍地都在你面前，只管在我们最好的坟地里埋葬你的死人，没有人不容你在这埋葬你的死人。亚伯拉罕对他们说：你们若同意，就请为我求所辖的儿子以弗伦，求他把田头上那麦比拉洞给我，我将按照他愿意给我的任何价来买这块地。以弗伦住在赫人中间，他们去叫他， 他就来到亚伯拉罕面前。以弗伦对亚伯拉罕说：“看哪，你所需要的你仆人都愿意给你。”亚伯拉罕说：“不然，我要按照你所要的价来买这洞和田地，好使它归我做永远的坟地。”6以弗伦回答说：“那块田和其中的洞都在你的面前，你想要的都可以给你。”亚伯拉罕回答说：“我愿意足价从你手中，并城门出入的人和你们的子孙手里买这块地，直到永永远远。”7以弗伦和他所有的兄弟们都听见了，亚伯拉罕就凭了400舍客勒银子给以弗伦和他的兄弟们达成了这个交易，并请了4位证人作证。8证人的名字如下：赫人亚比沙拿的儿子亚米迦，西魏人的儿子，歌灭人亚基兰的儿子亚顿，西顿人亚布底沙的儿子巴格底勒。9亚伯拉罕拿过地契，把他同他的财宝放在一处。亚伯拉罕在契约中是这样写的：10亚伯拉罕从赫人以弗伦和他的后裔，并他城里的人和他们的后裔手中所买的那洞和田地，世世代代都归于亚伯拉罕和他的后裔，并一切从他所生的人，做他们的坟地，直到永远。他在上面盖章，并请了见证人作证。11那块田和田间的洞，并那一整块地，都从赫人那里归于亚伯拉罕并他的后裔。这是在迦南地的希伯伦曼利前。12此后，亚伯拉罕把他的妻子撒拉葬在那里，那地方一切的范围内都定准归于亚伯拉罕和他的子孙做坟地。13亚伯拉罕按着国王般的葬礼厚葬了撒拉，他穿着非常精美的衣服下葬。14闪和他的儿子希伯、亚比米勒和亚拿尔、亚什古和曼利一起，并那地所有的显贵都来给他送葬。15撒拉共活了127岁就死了，亚伯拉罕为他大大的哀痛，举行了为期7天的哀悼仪式。16这地所有的居民都因着撒拉安慰亚伯拉罕和他的儿子以撒。17当他们哀悼的日子过去以后，亚伯拉罕就把他的儿子以撒送到闪和希伯的家里，学习耶和华的道和他的训诲。亚伯拉罕又留在那里住了3年。我们来看经文记录的这段。这些事以后，神要试验亚伯拉罕，就呼叫他说：“亚伯拉罕。”他说：“我在这里。”神说：“你带着你的儿子，就是你独生的儿子，你所爱的以撒，往摩利亚的去，在我所要指示你的山上，把他献为燔祭。”亚伯拉罕清早起来，背上驴，带着2个仆人和他儿子以撒，也劈好了燔祭的柴，就起身往神所指示他的地方去了。到了第3日，亚伯拉罕举目远远地看见那地方。亚伯拉罕对他的仆人说：“你们和驴在此等候，我与童子往那里去拜一拜，就回到你们这里来。”亚伯拉罕把燔祭的柴放在他儿子以撒身上，自己手里拿着火与刀，于是2人同行。以撒对他父亲亚伯拉罕说：“父亲啊！”亚伯拉罕说：“我儿，我在这里。”以撒说：“请看，火与柴都有了，但燔祭的羊羔在哪里呢？”亚伯拉罕说：“我儿，神必自己预备做燔祭的羊羔。”于是2人同行。他们到了神所指示的地方，亚伯拉罕在那里筑坛，把柴摆好，捆绑他的儿子以撒，放在坛的柴上。亚伯拉罕就伸手拿刀，要杀他的儿子。耶和华的使者从天上呼叫他说：“亚伯拉罕，亚伯拉罕。”他说：“我在这里。”天使说：“你不可在这童子身上下手，一点不可害他。现在我知道你是敬畏神的了，因为你没有将你的儿子，就是你独生的儿子， 留下不给我。亚伯拉罕举目观看，不料有一只公羊，两脚扣在稠密的小树中，亚伯拉罕就取了那只公羊来，献为燔祭，代替他的儿子。亚伯拉罕给那地方起名叫耶和华以勒，就是耶和华必预备的意思。直到今日人还说，在耶和华的山上必有预备。耶和华的使者第二次从天上呼叫亚伯拉罕说，耶和华说，你既行了这事，不留下你的儿子，就是你独生的儿子，我便指着自己起誓说，论福，我必赐大福给你；论子孙，我必叫你的子孙多起来，如同天上的星，海边的沙。你子孙必得着仇敌的城门，并且地上万国都必因你的后裔得福，因为你听从了我的话。于是亚伯拉罕回到他仆人那里，他们一同起身往别是巴去，亚伯拉罕就住在别是巴。创世纪22章1至19节和合本。撒拉享受127岁，这是撒拉一生的岁数。撒拉死在迦南地的基列，亚巴就是希伯伦。亚伯拉罕为他哀痛哭号。后来亚伯拉罕从死人面前起来，对赫人说，我在你们中间是外人，是寄居的，求你们在这里给我一块地，我好埋葬我的死人，使他不在我眼前。赫人回答亚伯拉罕说，我主请听，你在我们中间是一位尊大的王子，只管在我们最好的坟地里埋葬你的死人，我们没有一人不容你在他的坟地里埋葬你的死人。亚伯拉罕就起来，向那地的赫人下拜，对他们说，你们若有意叫我埋葬我的死人，使他不在我眼前，就请听我的话，为我求所辖的儿子以弗伦，把田头上那麦比拉洞给我，他可以按着足价卖给我，做我在你们中间的坟地。当时以弗伦正坐在赫人中间，于是赫人以弗伦在城门出入的赫人面前对亚伯拉罕说，不然，我主请听，我送给你这块田，连田间的洞也送给你，在我同族的人面前都给你，可以埋葬你的死人。亚伯拉罕就在那地的人民面前下拜，在他们面前对以弗伦说，你若应允，请听我的话，我要把田价给你，求你收下，我就在那里埋葬我的死人。以弗伦回答亚伯拉罕说，我主请听，值400舍客勒银子的一块田，在你我中间还算什么呢？只管埋葬你的死人吧。亚伯拉罕听从了以弗伦，照着他在赫人面前所说的话，把买卖通用的银子平了400舍客勒给以弗伦。于是麦比拉、曼利前、以弗伦的那块田和其中的洞，并田间四围的树木，都定准归于亚伯拉罕，乃是他在赫人面前并城门出入的人面前买妥的。此后亚伯拉罕把他妻子撒拉埋葬在迦南地曼利前的麦比拉田间的洞里，曼利就是希伯伦。从此那块田和田间的洞就借着赫人定准归于亚伯拉罕做坟地。创世纪23章1至20节和合本。这里面有一个有趣的地方，以弗伦这名字中有一个链接 valve， 等他敲诈完亚伯拉罕400银子之后，这个连接上帝的符号就从他名字中消失了，上帝再也不会祝福他，这就是人7天不期的道理。亚伯拉罕虽然花高价买了那地，可上帝看顾主权几千年，所以再高的价格也是公平的。
76 And Satan went to Sarah, and he appeared to her in the figure of an old man very humble and meek, and Abraham was yet engaged in the burnt offering before the Lord. 77 And he said unto her, Dost thou not know all the work that Abraham has made with thine only son this day? For he took Isaac and built an altar, and killed him, and brought him up as a sacrifice upon the altar, and Isaac cried and wept before his father, but he looked not at him, neither did he have compassion over him. 78 And Satan repeated these words, and he went away from her, and Sarah heard all the words of Satan, and she imagined him to be an old man from amongst the sons of men who had been with her son, and had come and told her these things. 79 And Sarah lifted up her voice and wept and cried out bitterly on account of her son, and she threw herself upon the ground, and she cast dust upon her head, and she said, O my son, Isaac my son, O that I had this day died instead of thee. And she continued to weep and said, It grieves me for thee, O my son Isaac, O that I had died this day in thy stead. 80 And she still continued to weep, and said, It grieves me for thee after that I have reared thee and have brought thee up. Now my joy is turned into mourning over thee, I that had a longing for thee, and cried and prayed to God till I bare thee at 90 years old, and now hast thou served this day for the knife and the fire, to be made an offering. 81 But I console myself with thee, my son, in its being the word of the Lord, for thou didst perform the command of thy God, for who can transgress the word of our God, in whose hands is the soul of every living creature? 82 Thou art just, O Lord our God, for all thy works are good and righteous, for I also am rejoiced with thy word which thou didst command, and whilst mine weepeth bitterly my heart rejoiceth. 83 And Sarah laid her head upon the bosom of one of her handmaids, and she became as still as a stone. 84 She afterward rose up and went about making inquiries till she came to Hebron, and she inquired of all those whom she met walking in the road, and no one could tell her what had happened to her son. 85 And she came with her maid servants and men servants to Kiriath-arba, which is Hebron, and she asked concerning her son, and she remained there while she sent some of her servants to seek where Abraham had gone with Isaac. They went to seek him in the house of Shem and Eber, and they could not find him, and they sought throughout the land, and he was not there. 86 And behold, Satan came to Sarah in the shape of an old man, and he came and stood before her, and he said unto her, I spoke falsely unto thee, for Abraham did not kill his son and he is not dead. And when she heard the word her joy was so exceedingly violent on account of her son, that her soul went out through joy, she died and was gathered to her people. 87 And when Abraham had finished his service he returned with his son Isaac to his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba, and they came home. 88 And Abraham sought for Sarah, and could not find her, and he made inquiries concerning her, and they said unto him, She went as far as Hebron to seek you both where you had gone, for thus was she informed. 89 And Abraham and Isaac went to her to Hebron, and when they found that she was dead they lifted up their voices and wept bitterly over her, and Isaac fell upon his mother's face and wept over her, and he said, O my mother, how hast thou left me, and where hast thou gone? O how hast thou left me? 90 And Abraham and Isaac wept greatly, and all their servants wept with them on account of Sarah, and they mourned over her a great and heavy mourning. Book of Jasher, chapter 24. 1 And the life of Sarah was 127 years, and Sarah died, and Abraham rose up from before his dead to seek a burial place to bury his wife Sarah, and he went and spoke to the children of Heth, the inhabitants of the land, saying, 2 I am a stranger and a sojourner with you in your land, give me a possession of a burial place in your land, that I may bury my dead from before me. 3 And the children of Heth said unto Abraham, Behold, the land is before thee, in the choice of our sepulchres bury thy dead, for no man shall withhold thee from burying thy dead. 4 And Abraham said unto them, If you are agreeable to this, go and entreat for me to Ephron, the son of Zochar, requesting that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which is in the end of his field, and I will purchase it of him for whatever he desire for it. 5 And Ephron dwelt among the children of Heth, and they went and called for him, and he came before Abraham, and Ephron said unto Abraham, Behold, all thou requirest thy servant will do. And Abraham said, No, but I will buy the cave and the field which thou hast for value, in order that it may be for a possession of a burial place forever. 6 And Ephron answered and said, Behold, the field and the cave are before thee, give whatever thou desirest. And Abraham said, Only at full value will I buy it from thy hand, and from the hands of those that go in at the gate of thy city, and from the hand of thy seed forever. 7 And Ephron and all his brethren heard this, and Abraham weighed to Ephron 400 shekels of silver in the hands of Ephron and in the hands of all his brethren. And Abraham wrote this transaction, and he wrote it and testified it with 4 witnesses. 8 And these are the names of the witnesses: Amigal son of Abishna the Hittite, Adakoram son of Ashinak the Hivite, Abdon son of Akram the Gomerite, Bakdil the son of Abidish the Zidonite. 9 And Abraham took the book of the purchase, and placed it in his treasures, and these are the words that Abraham wrote in the book, namely: 10 That the cave and the field Abraham bought from Ephron the Hittite, and from his seed, and from those that go out of his city, and from their seed forever, are to be a purchase to Abraham and to his seed and to those that go forth from his loins, for a possession of a burial place forever. And he put a signet to it and testified it with witnesses. 11 And the field and the cave that was in it and all that place were made sure unto Abraham and unto his seed after him, from the children of Heth. Behold, it is before Mamre in Hebron, which is in the land of Canaan. 12 And after this Abraham buried his wife Sarah there, and that place and all its boundary became to Abraham and unto his seed for a possession of a burial place. 13 And Abraham buried Sarah with pomp as observed at the interment of kings, and she was buried in very fine and beautiful garments. 14 And at her bier was Shem, his sons Eber and Abimelech, together with Aner, Ashcol and Mamre, and all the grandees of the land followed her bier. 15 And the days of Sarah were 127 years, and she died, and Abraham made a great and heavy mourning, and he performed the rites of mourning for 7 days. 16 And all the inhabitants of the land comforted Abraham and Isaac his son on account of Sarah. 17 And when the days of their mourning passed by, Abraham sent away his son Isaac, and he went to the house of Shem and Eber, to learn the ways of the Lord and his instructions, and Abraham remained there 3 years. Let's look at this passage from the scriptures. Now it came to pass after these things that God tested Abraham, and said to him, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. Then he said, Take now your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you. So Abraham rose early in the morning and saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and he split the wood for the burnt offering, and arose and went to the place of which God had told him. Then on the 3rd day Abraham lifted his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said to his young men, Stay here with the donkey, the lad and I will go yonder and worship, and we will come back to you. So Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son, and he took the fire in his hand, and a knife, and the 2 of them went together. But Isaac spoke to Abraham his father and said, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. Then he said, Look, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering. So the 2 of them went together. Then they came to the place of which God had told him. And Abraham built an altar there and placed the wood in order, and he bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar, upon the wood. And Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. So he said, Here I am. And he said, Do not lay your hand on the lad, or do anything to him, for now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. Then Abraham lifted his eyes and looked, and there behind him was a ram caught in a thicket by its horns. So Abraham went and took the ram, and offered it up for a burnt offering instead of his son. And Abraham called the name of the place, The Lord will provide, as it is said to this day, In the mount of the Lord it shall be provided. Then the angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time out of heaven, and said, By myself I have sworn, says the Lord, because you have done this thing, and have not withheld your son, your only son. Blessing I will bless you, and multiplying I will multiply your descendants as the stars of the heaven and as the sand which is on the seashore, and your descendants shall possess the gate of their enemies. In your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned to his young men, and they rose and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. Genesis 22 verses 1 to 19 NKJV. Sarah lived 127 years, these were the years of the life of Sarah. So Sarah died in Kirjath Arba, that is, Hebron, in the land of Canaan, and Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. Then Abraham stood up from before his dead, and spoke to the sons of Het, saying, I am a foreigner and a visitor among you. Give me property for a burial place among you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the sons of Het answered Abraham, saying to him, Hear us, my lord, you are a mighty prince among us, bury your dead in the choicest of our burial places. None of us will withhold from you his burial place, that you may bury your dead. Then Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land, the sons of Het. And he spoke with them, saying, If it is your wish that I bury my dead out of my sight, hear me, and meet with Ephron the son of Zohar for me, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah which he has, which is at the end of his field. Let him give it to me at the full price, as property for a burial place among you. Now Ephron dwelt among the sons of Het, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the presence of the sons of Het, all who entered at the gate of his city, saying, No, my lord, hear me, I give you the field and the cave that is in it, I give it to you in the presence of the sons of my people. I give it to you. Bury your dead. Then Abraham bowed himself down before the people of the land, and he spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, If you will give it, please hear me. I will give you money for the field, take it from me and I will bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying to him, My lord, listen to me, the land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? So bury your dead. And Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out the silver for Ephron which he had named in the hearing of the sons of Het, 400 shekels of silver, currency of the merchants. So the field of Ephron which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field, and the cave which was in it, and all the trees that were in the field, which were within all the surrounding borders, were deeded to Abraham as a possession in the presence of the sons of Het, before all who went in at the gate of his city. And after this, Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave of the field of Machpelah, before Mamre, that is, Hebron, in the land of Canaan. So the field and the cave that is in it were deeded to Abraham by the sons of Het as property for a burial place. Genesis 23 verses 1 to 20 NKJV. There is an interesting point here. There is a link vav in the name of Ephron. After he blackmailed Abraham for 400 silver, the symbol of connecting with God disappeared from his name. God deleted his name from the book of life. Although Abraham bought the land at a high price, God has cared for the sovereign for thousands of years, so no matter how high the price was, it was fair.
下回书第16部分，以撒娶妻。以撒伤母悲3载，娶得娇妻爱一生。老仆受命寻百家，井边神奇表方舟。谢谢大家收听以诺谈天节目，希望大家顺着次序听，我们下回见。
Next part 16, Isaac took a wife. Isaac mourned his mother for 3 years, then married a sweet wife and loved her for a lifetime. The old servant was instructed to find a wife, and the magic meeting by the well was presage of Doomsday Ark. Thank you for listening to the Enoch Talk Show. I hope you will listen to it in order, and see you next time.